or hell. Let's rock.
This new entry into the Doom franchise was announced in 2014, but I didn't hear anything about it until E3 of 2015, and even what I saw wasn't that much, as most of what I saw was people ragging on Anita Sarkeesian about how she detested the level of violence in the game. And in other news, grass is green, water is wet, and bear shit in the woods. After that, I forgot about it. And it wasn't until I uploaded my Fez review and someone said that with Uncharted 4 and Doom being out that I chose to review Fez instead. I didn't even know that Doom came out until that very moment, and after crawling out from under my rock, I saw a few videos showing off the game. After watching Jim Sterling play a little bit, and when that intro music ended with the sound of a shotgun being cocked, I was instantly sold. I knew that I had to have this game, and thus began my quest. Due to being strapped for cash at the time of its release, as I had other priorities, I went through my trade binder of cards to see what could be sold. But the card store I go to wasn't buying due to overstock. So I looked through my game library, pulled out games of which I had PC versions of, as GameStop was giving an extra 50% credit if it applied to Doom. The funny thing is, when I asked for Doom, the guy went to grab an Xbox One version. I had to correct him and tell him that I wanted the PC version, of which I got the only copy the store had. That's how you know it's fate, when it's the only remaining copy a week or more after launch. And I haven't bought a physical copy of a PC game in a long time. When I was sitting in the car reading the system requirements, of course my computer meets them, but I saw that the game needed 55 gigs of hard drive space. But the disc was only a DVD, and it said that there was an online connection needed to download the rest of the game. I looked at the paperwork that came with it, and there were codes for Steam. I haven't popped the disc in as I only needed the codes, but I have a feeling that it's just a Steam installer. When I was in middle school, my dad and I used to play the shareware version of Doom a lot as we had a CD full of shareware games, including Wolfenstein 3D. But Doom was always the one we played. And when we got a copy of Doom we found at Costco, that was really the only PC game that we played. Final Doom was something that we got but didn't really touch. So many years passed and I'm in college. A friend got a copy of Doom 3 and he was installing it when me and another friend showed up at his house. Because he was busy and already ate, me and the other friend said that we would be back because we were both hungry. When we got back, we let ourselves in. His door was closed, and when we opened it and announced our return, he jumped and screamed. He was so absorbed into the game he thought we were demons. So Doom has always been in my life, since I was a kid in some way or another, either playing it with my dad or watching friends play, or seeing the movie with friends. But now I'm playing the newest game all by myself, and it's weird that this unwritten tradition of sharing the Doom experience with someone has concluded. I tell you guys stories like this so you know what a long-running game series means to me if I have a history with it, and what it means to go through a quest to try and acquire a really anticipated game and how it can affect my score, especially if they screw up. The game is graphically amazing. I'm running it at default settings at 1080p with VSync set on adaptive and anti-aliasing at 8, and the game runs at a consistent 60 frames per second. And I hear that the console versions also run at the same resolution and frame rate, and this is a game that needs to run at 60 frames per second anyway, no matter what. It makes the game feel faster and smoother, which is what they were going for. The atmosphere is more action orientated instead of horror, which is what I expect, as Doom was never really a horror game. The music just fits the style of gameplay. You're fighting the demons of hell. Of course it's going to be rock music and it works really well. Peter Cullen voices Samuel Hayden, a guy that puts his mind into a robotic body and he sort of assists you. I don't think that I would have chosen Peter Cullen as his voice actor, since all you can think of is Optimus Prime when you hear him talking, and it doesn't help that he's a machine, but that's just me.
So now on to the gameplay, and I hope you're cocked and fully loaded, because this shit's gonna have nuts in it.
Doom, of course, is a first-person shooter like its predecessors. Although, if you want to get technical, the original Doom and Doom 2 were actually top-down shooters that were faking 3D really well. Taking on the role of the Nameless Marine, or B.J. Blazkowicz if you believe that he's the descendant of William Blazkowicz from the Wolfenstein games, you'll be fighting the forces of hell on Mars. Going back to the roots of Doom and throwing most modern FPS conventions out the window, it feels like a fresh of breath air. You get to hold multiple weapons. In fact, you can hold every single weapon you get. There's no need to drop one for another. However, some weapons are bound to special keys, like the chainsaw for example. You actually need to hit G on the keyboard to activate it, and Q brings up a quick select like the Ratchet and Clank games. However, it does not pause the gameplay but only slows it down. But since I'm used to the scroll wheel for weapon selection, I rarely if ever used it. The chainsaw, pistol, shotgun, chain gun, rocket launcher, plasma rifle, and BFG 9000 all make a return. The chainsaw is different. It's an instant kill but has very limited usage, as certain enemies take 1, 3, or 5 bars to to kill, and you need to find gas to refill it, and killing an enemy with a chainsaw will cause them to drop a ton of ammo. The pistol also has infinite ammo and can charge up a more powerful shot when you look down the sights when using the right mouse button, and it's the only weapon that you can look down the sights with, as all other weapons get a secondary function when you find a supply bot in the levels, and using the secondary function is activated by holding the right mouse button. And the only other weapon that doesn't get a secondary function is the BFG 9000. It's also different in that it only holds 3 rounds of its own ammo. It doesn't share its ammo pool with a plasma rifle, and the super shotgun doesn't get one either, but it can be upgraded. Most guns get 2 weapon mods that you can swap between them with the R key, and as you play you'll get weapon tokens, allowing you to mod your weapon's secondary functions even further. Like the assault rifle, which is a new weapon, can fire mini missiles, and the shotgun can fire explosive rounds, and so on and so forth, and these mods can be improved with weapon tokens. But to unlock the final upgrade for each mod, you need to complete the mastery challenge listed. Like to get the final upgrade for the super shotgun, you need to kill a total of 30 enemies at the same time with 1 blast. Your armor, the Predator suit, can also be upgraded with Predator tokens that you find off dead elite guards. Finding Argent caches will increase 1 stat for each one you find, which are health, armor, and ammo capacity. Health and armor maxes out at 200, but each weapon has its own ammo maximum limit. There's rune tokens that allow you to do minigames for bonuses, and I didn't really do these. There's several power-ups as well. The first is Berserk, which allows you to literally rip and tear demons apart. There's Haste that lets you move faster, including switching weapons. Quad Damage that quadruples the amount of damage a weapon can do, and then there's Invulnerability that lets you be invincible for a short amount of time. You'll find glowing armor pieces that will fill your armor meter, allowing it to be depleted before your health. And health pickups aren't as common, but enemies drop them when you perform a glory kill. When you've shot them up enough, they'll be momentarily stunned and flash blue if you're too far away, or orange when you're close enough to perform a glory kill. It's gory and bloody as shit, and oh so awesome and satisfying to do. And it doesn't get boring as it's over and done with very quickly, so it doesn't break the pace of the game as you're breaking off a Hell Knight's head. But enemies do drop health pickups even without glory kills, but it's not always 100% of the time. Most of the enemies from Doom and Doom 2 make a return. The Hellguard and Hellraiser are new monsters, and the Summoner is a quote-unquote new one, but it's pretty much the Archvile from Doom 2, being that it's fast as it teleports about, sends out waves of hell energy like fire, and instead of reviving dead demons, it summons new ones. Monsters will even fight each other. I've seen imps attack possessed humans, although I'm not sure what provoked the fight as it was something I came upon. But that hasn't stopped me from watching and then taking advantage of it like the opportunistic asshole I am. There's gore nests that need to be destroyed in certain areas to progress through the levels, but they're mainly in the first few levels and rare later on. After that, the area is just locked down when there's too many demons that need to be killed. I think it's a little silly to lock down an area, because if you left health and ammo behind you, you can't do a tactical retreat to grab everything and return to the fray, or use places like narrow hallways to your advantage if you get locked out of them. And it's redundant to have a gore nest and then a lockdown. Shortly after getting the BFG, I came into an area. There's a gore nest, so it's under lockdown. I destroy it and kill the demons. The lockdown stops. But then I press a button for the elevator in the same room, then 2 Barons of Hell spawn, and I can hear an announcement that the demon threat is too dangerous and the area is on lockdown again. I defeat the Barons, lockdown ends, and I get in the elevator and the level ends, making me wonder what the point of the Goreness was for then. This is an odd design choice that makes Goreness seem pointless. If I need to destroy a Goreness and then kill the demons to disable lockdown, but yet there's lockdowns without Gorenests, then what's the point of a Goreness if there can be a lockdown without them? And this is a game that heavily rewards exploration. There's Doom Marine figures to find, Argent caches, Predator tokens, and all sorts of cool things. Even old Doom levels that are hidden in the regular levels. You'll find Easter eggs all throughout the game, like the Icon of Sin from Doom 2. So if you take your time and look around when you're not fighting demons, you'll get some extra bonuses. There's also quite a bit of platforming too. There's a lot of jumping and climbing, as you can even climb places that you probably weren't meant to climb to make exploration easier. In terms of difficulty, I'm playing on Hurt Me Plenty, which is the normal mode, and I found it to be rather challenging. Although I mostly died not because of enemies killing me, but because of falling off of ledges to my death. You lose health and armor rather quickly, but you do gain it back just as easily as you lost it. Health more so than armor. In the beginning, imps seemed to be the one enemy I had an issue with since they're so fast and constantly moving. But once I got the assault rifle, they were able to be mowed down with little effort. Kaka demons, however, became more of an issue as they tend to appear in areas where your movement is limited and their projectile is fast and it hits like a truck. And movement is the key to staying alive. There's really no safe place for you to go to, as demons will follow you and make their way to you, especially imps. However, you can hide from pinkies by jumping up on something taller than them and just shooting from there. The larger demons like the Mancubus or Baron of Hell can't cross gaps. Or won't. I've seen a Mancubus jump up a ledge to get to me, but won't try to cross a gap. Same with the Baron of Hell, as I ran away from them by escaping across some platforms and they stayed where they were. It's possible that I just went outside their radius of which they're allowed to go out of, if they have one, so I really can't explain how what I saw occurred.
Now, when it comes down to the story, I'm not sure if it's a full-out reboot or a sequel. It does acknowledge the previous Doom games in a way, but you're probably going to be too busy ripping and tearing to pay much attention to it.
The story acknowledges the past Doom games but also establishes its own. While I haven't played Doom 64, I heard that the ending of it has the Doom Reed trapped in hell, but more of his own choice. You play as the Doomslayer, waking up in a laboratory after the staff get possessed. And when you get your Predator suit right then and there, it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And from this point on, what follows is my interpretation of the story. The UAC manages to channel energy from Hell, calling it Argent energy and sending it to Earth and other planets as a new power source. So I'm going to guess that after the events of the previous Doom games, where the UAC was performing teleportation experiments and accidentally unleashed the forces of Hell on Mars's moons in Doom 1, and then on Earth in Doom 2, managed to contain the Hellspawn but kept experimenting with Hell, as all evil corporations tend to do. After making the surface of Mars a breathable atmosphere in Doom 3, they managed to channel the energy of Hell into a form of electricity. They found the Doomslayer on one of their many expeditions to Hell, thinking it was a powerful demon as they've been experimenting on them, and the tomb was heavily guarded, but they were surprised to find that it was a human inside of it. The Predator suit was also there with the Doomslayer. It's assumed that the Doomslayer is the Doom guy from the classic games, who traveled and chose to remain in Hell and fight demons until he was eventually captured, pulled from his suit, and then sealed in a tomb, and it was made sure that it was guarded as Hell itself fears him. So after being awakened, the Doomslayer has two goals in mind: rip and tear demons and close the portal to Hell for good. And the following is what happens in the game, and if you want to avoid spoilers, just skip a couple seconds ahead. Dr. Olivia Pierce worked with Samuel Hayden to harness Hell's energy for the benefit of mankind, but became corrupted by Hell and started a cult, with the goal of unleashing Hell. While Samuel Hayden is on your side, he ultimately betrays the Doomslayer and sends him off to an unknown location so that Hayden can continue exploring Hell to exploit its resources for mankind, and he knows that he'll meet with the Doomslayer once again. And the spoilers end here, because that's all the game gives you directly. The other stuff is what you'll piece together from data logs, which is what I did. It's an interesting story that mixes all the Doom mythos together to create something new. Again, the story is up to your interpretation on how it's all connected, and that's just my idea of the lore of the game. I haven't touched the multiplayer since I haven't had the time to do so, but I heard it's rather meh to pretty good, and I'm not too much into multiplayer games anyway. There's also a snap map that allows you to make your own levels for multiplayer that you can upload to the internet so other people can play it. It's kinda confusing to use on PC, almost as if it was more made for consoles. It does have quite a few cool options and things you can use to make an interesting level. I've had the game crash on me twice without any sort of notification or reason why. It was like it just closed itself. Other than that, I never ran into any bugs or glitches. Some textures took a moment to load, mostly on the guns if I haven't used a certain one in a while, or when viewing the collectible marine figures, of which I only found 3 of. There's nothing that I can think of that I didn't like about Doom. I never felt that any battle overstayed its welcome. Each one was a challenge that involved continuous movement and knowing the terrain so you didn't back up into something and ending up getting stuck. I did find the goreness to be redundant, but it was something I could shrug off. I wish the BFG had more charges to it, especially since it can come in handy when a fight isn't going your way, and finding ammunition for it is rare. But the Gauss cannon is kinda like a weaker version of the BFG. It doesn't have the splash damage and it kills pretty much anything, but I do understand that it's for balance purposes. So that's what, 2 things that are nitpicks in a game that's pretty damn perfect. For a game that was in development hell for almost 10 years, it doesn't disappoint. It gives modern shooters the finger with its fast-paced action, huge arsenal of weapons without a limit of how many you can hold, and no reload times. Well, except for the super shotgun. And it shows that single-player campaigns are still relevant. It's a game that says it's here to have some mindless fun. And speaking of fun, the Cyber Demon boss is one of the best boss fights I've encountered in a long time. It was nerve-wracking, adrenaline-pumping fun. I died only once on him though, but I don't think it was easy. This is one of those games that allows you to travel through time. I started playing on Sunday after I woke up around 1:30 p.m. Then what felt like 45 minutes was actually 5 hours. So after taking a break and getting food, I returned back to Doom around 8 p.m. And when I stopped, it was 3 a.m. I unfortunately didn't get to finish the game by the time it came to putting this review together, because I got so into looking for everything that I could, exploring every nook and cranny. I did put a lot of hours into it and got to the 10th level out of 13, and I do hope to have the time to finish it, which will probably be the day I upload this review.
You're still here? Go play Doom already!